opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Hello and welcome to our segment. Let's talk real estate. And I am Jay Brijpaul.
I'm Anjie Brijpaul.
Good, Angie. Now, welcome to the show. I've been here before, but I'm glad that you are here. Give us a little background about yourself.
Yeah, it's my first time here. I've started real estate about a year and a half ago. I've grown up around the business with my dad being a veteran in it, and thanks to him, I've done really great. I can't ask for a better mentor, and I'm looking forward to continue learning as I work.
Beautiful. That's great. Nice said. You got a few questions for me. Today, what we try to do, we want to really discuss all the problems affecting first-time buyers and what they should really do. So let's focus right in. Ange.
So I have a few popular questions that a lot of first-time buyers like to ask. The most popular one being, should I rent or should I buy?
Good question. Should I rent or should I buy? And now that it depends really. If you have decent income and you are paying high rent, when you pay rent at the end of it, let's say you pay rent for 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
At the end of it, what do you get? A set of rental receipts. That's all.
True.
But if you buy a property today,
Mm-hmm.
right, after 5 years, your mortgage will be coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Your value will go up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you will get some money put away that you can utilize to do other things. So it's very easy. The most important thing is they should buy. However, let's look at it further. They must know whether they are ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Many first-time buyers, for example, they're just students out of university. They may have high debts.
Right.
So they may need to pay that down a little bit, right? They need to pay their debts down, make sure that their credit is good, and make sure that they got some money put away to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, they must have a very secure job
Okay.
because the bank will look at that. The next thing is that they must make sure they have good credit.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with many people is that they damage their credit over silly things. For example, they did not pay their cell phone on time,
Right.
or they pay their credit card late.
Mm-hmm.
And now the banks look at it this way. The bank says, hey, if we lend that guy $5,000
Mm-hmm.
and he's making late payment, what happened when we have to lend him $500,000? So
Right.
what happened?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why it's important to take care of the credit as well. Right? So if they have good credit,
Mm-hmm.
decent job,
Mm-hmm.
and they've managed to pay down some of their student loans and not too much outstanding debt,
Right.
then the answer is yes. They should jump right into buying.
Right. Okay, that's good to know because I have a lot of buyers who are curious between if renting is better, if buying is better in the long term. But like you said, buying is the way to
Yeah,
go.
buying. I mean, at the end of the day, they will build some equity for the future.
Mm-hmm. True. Now, I get a lot of people asking me, do I really need a realtor when I'm buying my home?
That's a very good question. The thing is, in today's world, I mean, a buyer could go on the internet and find all the properties and say,
Right.
you know what, let's buy it.
Right.
So what's the role of a realtor?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the realtor in real estate plays a very, very, very important role. buyers, especially first-time buyers, don't understand the intricacies that involve it.
Right.
Number one, if you are going to buy, you must know that, hey, what you are buying is fair market value.
Mhm.
A realtor will be able to determine that because they can do a quick search in your neighborhood
Right.
and they will be able to see what similar properties are selling
Mhm.
and they can apply the price. If you are buying a condo, for example, not necessarily you buying a condo, you are part of the entire complex.
Mhm.
There's something that called reserve fund. If the reserve fund is very low,
Mhm.
then what you will find is that maintenance will come. A
Right.
realtor will be able to guide you along that line. You're buying a home, for example.
Mhm.
Do you know whether the land is owned or the land is leased? I've heard stories where people bought properties on something called an escalating land lease,
Mhm.
did not realize it, and then when they're ready to sell, the land value is worth more than the house value. So when they sell, they got not only zero, they got to take money out of their pocket
Oh,
because
okay.
they have rented the land.
Yeah.
Right? So these are all important things that a good realtor will catch. It can help this person um, look at their financing, be able to package it together, and
Mhm.
assist them along those lines. So what a realtor will do in the first place, if they sit with you as a first-time buyer,
Mhm.
they will be able to assess how much property you can buy.
Mhm.
They can be able to show you what's available within that price range,
Right.
and they can be able to search and select the best property for you to look at,
Mhm.
and at the same time be able to take care of all the other important things by the closing. See, most people are busy in their field, and they understand their field very
Right.
well.
Of course.
But when they're entering into something new,
Mhm.
they should have that guidance to take care of.
True. Very true.
So, in short, yes, a realtor plays a very, very important role in the
Right. So another question I've been asked quite a bit is about down payment. How much should I save for a down payment?
How much you should save for it?
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's very important.
Mhm.
Now, the way the bank really take care of everything is that they first look at your income.
Right.
So, a rule of thumb, they will lend you about 4.5 times that income.
Right.
So, let's say your income is $100,000.
Mhm.
The bank will lend you $450,000. So, if you're buying a home at $100,000 and the
Mhm.
bank is lending you 450,
Mhm.
then you got to come up with that $150,000.
Mhm.
You're buying at 500, you can have $50,000.
Mhm.
So the bottom line is that you must be able to know upfront how much the bank will lend you.
Mhm.
Then you know how much you need to put into the property. Most of the time, you can buy a property with as low as 5% down.
Okay.
So if you're buying a property at let's say 400,000, all you need is $20,000.
Mhm.
Plus, there is something called closing costs. We'll get into that a bit later in our next segment,
Mhm.
right? And what that is, it translates into about 6.75% of money you will require to buy a property. So for buyers, it's important that you save at
Mhm.
least minimum 5% plus 1.5% for closing costs.
Now, what does it mean exactly to be pre-approved?
Pre-approved, really, what it means is that you have gone to your bank and you say, hey, bank, you know what, I want to buy a home. Could
Mhm.
you give me a pre-approval? So what the bank will do, they will check, they will take your income, they will do some calculations and says, hey, you know what, we will lend you so much money to buy a home. So if you know how much the bank will lend you, and you add your down payment on top of that,
Mhm.
then you know up to what price point you could. It's good that someone will look into that because if they look into that, they have an idea as to what they should do with the down payment
Mhm.
versus go out there blindly looking at properties and go to the bank. And
Right.
the bank say, hey, sorry, we're not lending you money.
Right. Now, I know there's a lot of confusion between being pre-qualified and being pre-approved.
Right.
Do you mind expanding on that?
yes, many people feel that because they are pre-approved, they are pre-qualified.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessary. In a pre-approval stage, the bank may not pull your credit. They may not look into the smaller details of it.
Mm-hmm.
They just look at your income and they will qualify. Say, hey, you know what? You can buy up to this rate. But a pre-qualified arrangement is when the financial institution will take your credit report, they will pull your credit report, they will ask for your job letter, they will go through the whole 9 yards to make sure everything is good. Your credit is clean, your job is stable,
Mm-hmm.
your loan to value is there. The bank usually lend you about 32%. You they cap it around 32% of your total debt service that they lend you,
Mm-hmm.
and up to 42% of the total debt service, right, that they will lend you. So they use that formula to tell you how much property you can buy. At that point, you are pre-qualified,
Mm-hmm.
right, to buy a property. You can literally go out there, find a property, and put an offer that is not subject to financing. In the pre-approval stage, yes, you still need a credit.
Okay, so it's always a better idea to be pre-approved or pre-qualified.
Pre-qual is always good, especially if you're not too sure about your finances, whether credit or anything. Well, we are out of time for this segment, and we will see you back soon.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
World-famous spiritual astrologer and psychic Pandit Sai is born to serve people. He's an expert on palmistry and horoscope. He can handle all problems and give Vedic solutions for business, job, love, marriage, husband and wife problems, children, personal, and many others, including depression. He also performs pujas to clear all sorts of obstacles. Call Pandit Sai and see changes in your life now. 647-766-1419. Located at 2895 Derry Road, East Mississauga, Airport Road and Derry.
Hello everyone, my name is Jermaine Chambers, and I'm very excited to tell you about the newest political and current affairs program coming here to Brampton. It's called On Point.
The first step of true reconciliation is learning more about one another.
Join us on Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we discuss all the issues.
I will never forget the trust you put in me.
Municipal, provincial, federal, and any issue of national importance, we will talk about On Point. So do join us.
So, a few questions I've been asked.
Right.
One of the most important ones, as a first-time buyer, mortgages, they're a scary thing. What would the bank be looking for when I decide to apply for a mortgage?
Well, when you decide to apply for a mortgage, yes, the bank will look for many things. The first thing the bank wants to make sure is that you have an income to buy, right? So you must be gainfully employed. At least the bank like to see at least 2 years of employment income. If you are self-employed, then that's a different story as well. The bank want to at least see your return, your tax assessment from the government, the return on that, to give you an idea as to how much you're qualified for, right? So they will look at that as well. So the first thing is income, because income give us an idea as to how much you will qualify to buy,
Right.
right? The next important thing what the bank look at, they look at the amount of debts you carry. Now, that's a very important aspect, especially when it comes to first-time buyers.
Right.
Most of the time, professionals just get off of university, they rack up some debts, they go out and they probably get a place to rent, and they bought some furniture, and they got other debts accumulating.
Right.
Now, the bank, the way it works is that they said your total amount of debt plus your mortgage monthly payment must not exceed 42% of your income.
Right.
Because really and truly, you need 58% to continue living.
Right.
Right? So they give you that. So the next thing is to make sure that the debt level is a bit low to fall within that category. Right? The third important thing what the bank look at your ability to pay. Right? Many people, they got their credit card and it's max.
Right.
The bank look at it as that's bad. You want to keep it down to at least half or 3/4 and try to pay off as much as possible, pay on time, because that will affect your credit score as well. The next thing the bank wants to do is to make sure that in addition to your credit, in addition to your income, they want to make sure that you have a decent amount of money in your account and that is not being borrowed.
Right.
Many people, they may go to the bank and say, hey, you know what, I need a loan of $20,000 to put towards my down payment. But you cannot borrow to borrow again.
Right.
Right? They want to make sure that that's not being happened. You are getting a gift from a family member, then they will require a gift letter stating that that money is not refundable. It's a gift. And they like to see the money in your account. And at least they like to look at 90 days of your account history before they make that decision. So those are very important characteristics. Yeah.
I've heard mortgage brokers talk about TDS and GDS. Would you mind explaining those?
Yes, it's very simple. GDS is called gross debt ratio. What it is, the bank will lend you up to 32% of your total income. And gross debt ratio is really the principal you paid on your property, the interest you're paying, plus the property tax you're paying. That's must equal to 32%. The total debt service means that you can, for your house at 32%, you got an extra 10% margin to cover all debts. So you got a car loan, a student loan, and your mortgage. The total must not exceed 42% of your income. Right? So let's say your credit is very, very good and you don't have too much debts. Then they may increase that 32% of money that will go towards buying your home. They can say, you know what, we will give you 35% or 36%. So you can buy up a little bit more in home because you don't have too much debts.
Right.
Right. So it's really a sliding scale between 32, which is your GDS, your gross debt ratio, and 42, which is your total debt service. So they don't like to see anything exceed that. If your income is within that range, your buying power will be there as well.
Okay. So when I apply for a mortgage or whatnot, would there be benefits to adding a partner to the mortgage?
It depends. I mean, if a spouse, for example, husband and wife, sure, it's good. You'll qualify for more,
right?
Because the income combined will be more. It'll be okay. So it's always beneficial. If you are looking for someone to go along with you as a co-signer, remember that person will become a guarantor as well, and they will also be on title of your property.
Right.
So many times people don't qualify a loan. So what they say, you know what, I'll get someone to co-sign with me. We got to understand that that person will be on the hook as well. So your co-signer in event you cannot pay will get caught in that as well. It can affect them. I've seen the reverse as well. I've seen a co-signer that is on someone's mortgage. So you bought a home, use me as a co-signer, and then I really messed my credit up. So guess what? The bank then put a lien against the property because we own it jointly. It will become your problem.
Right.
All right. So you got to be very, very cautious who you're taking on as a co-signer. All right. That's important. Another thing, I've seen it differently where you asked me to be a co-signer, so I co-signed for you. I'm great, I wouldn't do anything else.
Right.
But also, I co-signed also for Harry on the other end. And Harry messed his credit up, which pulled my credit down, which eventually damaged you.
Okay.
So it become a string, right?
I see.
So you got to be very, very cautious who you want to be on title with you. I've also seen situation where family members co-sign for another family member.
Right.
5, 6, 7 years down the road, the relationship went a little bit sour, and the other party claimed, you know what, well, I bought the home too, I need my share. So all these things must be ironed out up front. Best way if you're having someone to co-sign. Also have the lawyer prepare the proper documentation to say that this person is just as a co-signer and do not have any financial gain in the property or any financial loss in the property. They're just doing it strictly for as a guarantor.
Okay. So it's important to always vet who you want to co-sign with if you choose to take that path.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you'll qualify for more money. You can buy a home, but at the same time, yes, you qualify for more, you can pay more. However, does that justify the fact that you buy a higher priced property?
Right.
Because at the end of the month, guess what? Not your co-signer will pay that debt.
Yeah, you're the
You
one.
got to pay it, and that's why the rules are there.
Right.
If you stay within the 42% guideline, that it makes sure that you can manage. But if suddenly, because of the co-signer, you buy up in value, and your debt ratio now is 40, 50, 60% of your income, then you will get financial problem.
True. Because when someone co-signs, you're not only getting their income, you're also getting their debts with the GDS and the TDS.
Yes, the bank will look at everything as a co-signer, not their income alone. The bank will qualify them as a purchaser, because the bank want to know how much credit they have as well.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Another thing that you can look at as a co-signer, think about it. Let's say you're buying a home in Toronto.
Right, yeah.
And I'm co-signing for you. You're a first-time buyer. I am a second-time buyer. The problem we'll run into at this point is that you will lose some of your privilege that you have as a first-time buyer. For example, land transfer tax. You wouldn't be able to claim the full amount because there are two buyers. Right. So these are things you got to look at. You cannot use you can use your RSP, but up to $35,000. So that's about it.
So you should always be careful who you're putting on your title, your mortgage, and always vet
important.
the right people.
That's very, very important, especially first-time buyers. That's very important.
Okay.
So we are about it's about time that we will head for another break, and then we will continue our talk. But tell us about this raffle, what it is all about.
So we have a raffle for 2 Starbucks gift cards for callers who call in with any questions about real estate. We'll put you in a draw, and we'll draw from there.
So send in your questions, and we'll answer them.
Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Yes, remember to send in your questions, and we will have the draw of every person that's brought a question up to us. We'll try to answer it. We enter your name for a draw for 2
Starbucks gift cards.
So make sure you tune in and make sure you send your questions to us.
Now, buying a home is a big purchase.
Yes, it's one of the biggest purchases.
One of
Yes.
the biggest purchases,
Yes.
people make in their lives.
Yes.
Closing costs are something that people don't really talk about. What would I have to expect, especially as a first-time buyer? What would closing costs entail, essentially?
So the question is, what are closing costs? I mean, it's all technical word for the regular person. First of all, what is closing?
Right.
Closing is that, in addition, it's money you need to put away to put a property into your name, right? So the first cost, if you go and buy a property today, the first thing you want to do is
Have an inspection.
have an inspection. So there is a cost for inspection. So you need to put away about $400 or $500 for the inspection. The next thing that happen is that once, let's say, an average buyer put less than 20% down, their mortgage has to be insured. We'll get into that later on.
Right.
By Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, or GE, in order for the bank protection. Now, the bank will lend the cost of money for the insurance. However, it's considered a service. So let's say the insurance premium is $10,000. 13% of that is considered HST.
Right.
So the buyer have to stump that money up. So that's the second cost.
Okay.
So you got to pay HST and CMHC insurance.
Right.
The third is that the insurance company will charge about $275 to $300 to review the application. That a fee has to go as well. Now, let's move forward. Most of the time, the bank may need an appraisal done on the property.
Right.
Why do you think the bank needs an appraisal done?
They want to know how much the property is worth.
Yeah, because the bank is lending them money, and they want to make sure that what they are lending against is that the value is there before
Right.
they lend.
Right.
So an appraisal cost is between $300 to $400 as well. Then if we move forward, the next cost is that now we are moving on to the lawyer. As we move on to the lawyer will tell you that, hey, you got to pay something called a land transfer tax.
Right.
In short, it's a sales tax. But you know why we call it a land transfer tax?
You can't move land, you can only move title.
All right, smart girl. All right. So you can only transfer the land. Right? So that's why they call it a land transfer tax. And that can equate, depends where you're buying, between 1 to 2 to 3% of your purchase price. Right? It's a graduating scale. The higher you buy, the more it becomes.
Yeah, and in Toronto, there's a little extra.
In Toronto, a lot extra. Right? As a first-time buyer, you will be exempted up to, I think it's $4,000 from your land transfer tax.
Right.
So if you're buying in Toronto, you get the $4,000 exemption. Right? And then the next one is your lawyer fee. Lawyer fee can range between $500 and $1,500.
Right.
In addition to that, the lawyer will do some work. For example, they may want to make sure that the property tax for the property you're buying has been paid. Because if it's not being paid, then guess what? You buy the property, the government don't care, it's against the property.
Right.
So your lawyer must catch that. So they are money that the lawyer will spend to do all these various searches. And that is called disbursement, money the lawyer pays out.
Right.
About $500 to $1,000.
Okay.
And the last one is that there is something called a title insurance. Now, what is really title insurance? Every property have a history.
Right.
From the time it was owned from the first day, and the history stays on title. But let's say 15 years ago, there was a mortgage that was paid off, but it's not discharged from the title. Did not come off, show that it's been paid. Then technically, that could be a dangerous position to be in, because a potential buyer may say, hey, you know what, you need to pay that off before we buy the property.
Right.
Right? Title insurance protect you against things like that.
Okay.
That in event something like that happen, it's an error, then title insurance will cover it.
Okay.
I've had situation where the property tax has not been paid in full,
Right.
and the title insurance cover that cost of property tax. So closing costs is all those expense put together.
Okay.
I will say put away about 1.5 to 1.75% of the purchase price to cater for closing costs.
Okay. So good to know. Now, you touched on this, CMHC. What exactly is that?
CMHC, let me get into that. I got some information here about CMHC that I would like to share with you. CMHC, they have one, they are there to make sure that oversee purchasing of houses, especially people who do not have the 20% down.
Right.
See, let's assume that I am the bank and you are borrowing money, right? You're buying this property for $500,000.
It's a lot of money.
You get a lot of money. You got only, let's say, you got only about $40,000.
Right.
It means that I, as the bank, I gotta give $460,000. Right? You're putting $40,000. Who is at higher risk, you or I?
The bank.
Yeah, the bank is at higher risk.
Yeah.
So now what the bank says, you know what? No, I will not lend you that money.
Right.
That's where CMHC comes in. CMHC tell the bank, hey, I want you to lend that buyer the money, and we, CMHC, will ensure it that in event the buyer does not pay you the bank back and the property goes power of sale,
Right.
if there's a shortfall, we will give you that money, so your loss is really zero.
Okay.
So the bank risks have reduced drastically to
Right.
zero, so the bank is willing to lend money.
Right.
So to allow more buyers to buy property, right? And that's very, very important, because CMHC is there for everyone. And the vision of CMHC is to make home ownership affordable for every person,
Right.
right? But the insurance, there is a guiding scale, a premium that escalate gradually. For example, if you are a buyer, you put 5% down,
Right.
then CMHC fee will be 4.5%. They usually charge the lender that fee, and the lender passes that down to the consumer,
Right.
right? But the lender in turn will lend you that extra fee, that extra money that you
Right.
gotta pay.
So that's built into the mortgage.
That built into the mortgage.
Okay.
Only the thing you got to come up with is the HST and that fee, as we
Right.
discussed earlier.
Right.
Right? But the scale drops. For example, if you put 10%, I think the fee on a 10% will be 3.10%.
Okay.
All right? And as you go up, the risk drops, so the fees drop. So that's the role of CMHC in transaction.
Okay. And it's always best to put 20% if you can.
If you can put 20%, it's good. But think about it, a lot of first-time buyers.
It's hard.
If you wait, when you save, in this business I've seen, when you save $20,000, the price gone up 40,000.
Yeah.
So you're always behind
Always
the ball.
behind. True.
Right. So you might as well just, step in and
Give
get
what you
going.
can
Do
at
what,
the time.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I've got some clients who have done it slightly different, though. What they did, they would be able to borrow some money from their parent,
Okay.
And by doing that, they don't have to pay CMHC fee.
Right.
And then they have some arrangement with their parents down the road.
Okay, that's
Right.
not a bad idea.
Yeah, so that's way the fees are of, let's say, 4.5% of 100,000 is 4,500. Times it by, let's say, a 500,000 transaction, and it adds up very quickly.
It does.
Right? So the parent may say, hey, you know what, we give you that as a gift in a way, and, just make arrangement down the road. We'll make some arrangement, right? Remember, you cannot borrow money, right, to go and buy, but I mean, that's something internal that you can work out with your parents and take it from there.
Good to know.
Yep. So what else we have? Remember, any questions so far, please remember to call us in. And I guess our time is out for this segment. Thank you. Oh, I didn't realize. Yes, welcome again, and thanks for tuning in. We are trying to cover all the questions that first-time buyer will have, and if you do have a specific question, please remember to call us, or you can email us, and we'll be able to answer that question. The phone number is there on the screen. Now, Ange, you have a few more questions.
I do. So driving by, cities are expanding.
Right.
I've seen a lot of billboards for new townhomes, new detached, new semis, but what exactly is a new build versus a resale home?
Well, it really depends. A new built home is one that is is brand new, spanking new, like you buy a brand new car. Right? Resale is like a resale car as well, right? So the problem is that many people are confused. Should I go and buy a newly built or should I buy a resale?
Right.
So it depends. Number one, the newly built are farther away from the city. Unless they are condominiums, of course, which might be downtown Toronto in these areas. Right? So it depends on the person. If you need immediate possession, chances are you might want to buy a resale because they are already there. You can look into the area you want and then look at the resale.
Right.
On the other hand, if you're planning on buying a property, let's say about your thinking in advance and may want to buy a property that's closing in 2 years, and you are saving up money, you have some money to put down, then it's not a bad idea maybe to buy one of these pre-construction condos that will be closing in 3 years.
Okay.
So that way you're gradually putting away money, knowing the fact that eventually you will be moving into there. So literally you're saving and putting away. At the same time, you know that you locked into a price.
Right.
Now, we have seen over the years price acceleration, which means price constantly going up. So by the time you're ready to close that transaction, your property would have appreciated, let's say, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. I've seen the reverse as well, though.
Okay.
I've seen situation where the market tanked, and instead the price go up, the price start to come down. And then the bank says, hey, you know what? We would not finance that cooperation at this price. We'll go here. Right? So it can be risky as well. Right? However, if you are buying it with the intention of living in it, doesn't really matter, because whatsoever price you bought on is capped, and you're putting your down payment and you're reducing the amount owing, and you'll be living in it anyway. Right? Brand new properties come with quite a bit of hidden expense that you do have to look for. For example, you got to pay for Tarion warranty. Tarion warranty is a warranty for new construction and even their construction problems. We'll get into these topics more detail as we move on with various segments. Right? In addition to that, if you're buying, let's say, a new home, you got to understand that the basement is not done. Your yard is not fenced. Right? They will charge you for the meters, hydro, gas, all these meters you got to pay for. Right there, you got to put any upgrades you want, you got to pay for it. They usually, builder give you one coat of asphalt for your driveway, you do have to pay for the other coat. Right? They give you a base coat, you got to pay for the other coat. And in some areas where you got to be careful is all those fine writing where you may be caught. They might be putting a school in the area, and you might be charged education lot levy to put a school, which is a portion. Let's say it's a $10 million and a divide around 1,000 homes. Then you will have to put your share as well. Right? So you got to cater for all these things. Whereas in a resale, these things are already there, right? The owner bought the home, they've probably done a lot of other upgrades as well, and you, as the buyer, will inherit that, right? The other disadvantage of buying new for some people, I don't know about you, but it's difficult for me to look at a piece of paper and say, hey, this will be the room. I've got many of my clients in the past who bought property and say, you know what? I mean, I saw it on paper, it looks great, but now that I'm moving in, I realize that, you know what, the room sizes are not what I want, the kitchen is not what I want. But a resale, you physically can walk through and see everything and get a feel of the property. Another very, very important aspect is that brand new homes, the community is not established as yet. So you don't know who living next door and what's happening 5 doors down. But in an established neighborhood, everything is established. You got an idea, feel for the community, and know whether you want to move there.
Okay. Well, we talked about closing costs earlier. But when I'm considering buying my home for the first time, what are some other expenses that I would have to look into?
Specifically, some other expenses that you're looking to? Well, in addition to closing cost, I don't think there are too much other expenses because we cover most of the things that you got to take care of, right? So you're pretty much there. I don't think there are a lot of things that you have to be covered in that expense.
But I'd have to take into consideration the utilities, home insurance.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so really we are looking at you buy the home now.
After I bought the home.
Okay. After you bought the home now, yes, before you buy the home, you're right in a way because we want to make sure that everything is taken care of. Remember, not only your mortgage has to be paid. In addition to a mortgage, you got to pay property tax. You got to pay, if it's a house, then you got to pay for water, you got to pay for gas, you got to pay for hydro. You got to pay for insurance, fire insurance, right? If it's a condo, you have to pay maintenance fee and property tax. So it's very important to take these into your budget, right? And work a budget out to make sure. A good rule of thumb is to make sure that you put away, in addition to your mortgage payment, you put away an additional 10% of your savings every month to cater for these expenses. Right?
Oh, we touched on this a little bit before, but as a first-time buyer, is there any benefit to being one?
Yes, there's a benefit to being one. As a first-time buyer, number one, you can use your RRSPs towards a down payment up to $35,000. The next thing is that you will be exempted from up to $4,000 land transfer tax on buying a property. Besides that, there are not much more savings. My advice to many first-time buyer, it's a great time to go and buy some RSP. So you're an executive making $60,000 a year. You probably pay at least about 30% of that in taxes, right? So let's say you go and you top up your RRSP that you haven't used over the years. You'll find that technically that brings your income bracket down. And you will get back some tax dollars. Right, which is good. I mean, it's long term. You can use that RSP towards your down payment, but you got to pay it back to yourself in 17 years to your account. First 2 years, you don't have to pay anything. On the third year, you have to pay 1/15 of that back to your account. If you don't, it consider income. That money should sit in your account at least 90 days before you really use it to purchase your property. So it's good to do it now. We are in December, so November. Sorry, so it's good to do it now so that way you have enough time if you're planning on buying in the spring market.
Now, the most popular question I get.
Yes.
Is there a right time to buy a house?
Well, yes, that's a good question. Well, I think you should buy when you're ready to buy. The market goes through different phases. It goes through a phase of growth, stability, and decline. We have seen that over the years, the market has been skyrocketed. With the dot-coms, the market have really taken off with the internet. Because suddenly Canada has become a global place where we have lots of buyer buying. But in every year, there are seasons. I find around the lovely summer month of August, less realtors go out to work. Most people are on vacation, they're cottage country and all these things, weddings and everything else. So sales activity drops. In this fall, it picks up a little bit. Then in the heart of the winter, around mid-Feb, it picks up tremendously. And it takes all the way to the end of June, and then it slows down again. So the cycle follows the school year. Right? So if you look at it, you will be able to know when to buy. As a buyer, the best time to buy when everyone is selling, and the best time to sell when everyone is buying. So the best time to buy is around the August month, when there are less people buying. Around the holiday season, when people focus on holidays and properties tend to sit in the market, you manage to get better deals along these times. However, the way the market is going, there's no specific time. Best thing to do is to buy as soon as you can afford to buy. So let's wrap up today's session, and let's let everyone know that we will be back here next month. Right, in December, to continue along this wonderful ideas. If you have any topics that you would like to see us to expand on, then please let us know. And we will continue along what we'll be doing for first-time buyers. Eventually, we'll have some guests coming in. We'll talk from taxation to buying an income property to all the different aspects of real estate to make your life better. Our aim is to educate you based on the little we know, to share that knowledge so that you can become better as well. So that's about little on our end. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, this has been very informative, and I hope that these questions have helped first-time buyers looking into purchasing, their first property. Maybe we've alleviated some stress on that note with information that we've hopefully provided.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.